Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. You know when it's a Deontay Wilder fight week because the WBC champion will be coming out with all manner of controversial statements. And in this instance, ahead of his fight on May 18th at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn against his mandatory challenger Dominic Breazeale, he hasn't disappointed. He's dusted off and regurgitated some of his most reviled statements, specifically saying at his media day that of Dominic Breazeale, his life is on the line for this fight. And I do mean his life. I'm still trying to get a body on my record. This is the only sport where you can kill a man and get paid for it at the same time. It's legal. Why not use my right to do so? So those were Deontay Wilder's statements at his media day. So I'm going to get to some thoughts on that. Also some broader comments that Wilder has made. Dominic Breazeale has had his media day. I'll get to some of his quotes. And then a couple of other things, including Wilder referencing Anthony Joshua. Of course, there's a controversial statement there too. So we'll get to that. So buckle in. Let's go. So starting with Deontay Wilder's comments that his Dominic Breazeale's life is on the line. He wants to get a body on his record. That it's the only sport that he can kill a man and get paid for it. It's legal. Why not use my right to do so? Why would he say these things? What's the motivation behind it? Well, I think it's pretty clear this is a cheap and nasty tactic to generate some headlines. Plain and simple. Let's face it, this fight here is not the fight that fans wanted to see. The response to it's been relatively lukewarm, and when you consider the build-up to Wilder's most recent fights against Luis Ortiz and Tyson Fury back in December, this has by far and away had a lot less coverage in the press in general. Fans are not nearly talking about it as much. It's one of these things where it's coming up, and fans are boxing fans are going to watch it. I don't know so much about casuals, but it's one of these things that'll come and go, and most people expect Deontay Wilder to win. And that's part of the issue here, because Dominic Breazeale is a very slow and hittable fighter. Even though he's, got a lot of heart, he's durable, he blocks punches with his face for the most part. He's a very hittable guy, and Deontay Wilder being one of the more athletic heavyweights in the heavyweight division and one of the hardest hitting, he can still make mistakes and still get Dominic Breazeale out of there and put a beating on him over a number of rounds. And Breazeale, he does have a shot. It's a puncher's chance, but for most people, they want to see, for a lot of people, I should say, they want to see Dominic Breazeale be competitive in this fight and maybe land something telling, but most people still expect Deontay Wilder to come through this, and win the fight relatively handily. And that's part of the problem for this fight, because it is considered more of an 80-20 type fight, or for some people, 100-0 or 90-10. It's hard to sort of beat this up and get a lot of buzz and hype and interest into it, because people already feel that it's a title fight, that's the results already sort of sewn up. And especially if it goes the distance, Deontay Wilder's probably going to get the decision against Dominic Breazeale. Not because he's necessarily the better boxer, but generally you have to really beat the champion to get the decision. And Wilder, in a lot of his championship fights, and a couple like the Ortiz and the Washington one, even the Tyson Fury one with those cards, a lot of people disagreed with the actual scoring by the judges. But that's by the by for now. But Dominic Breazeale really has an uphill struggle, and fans and in general have recognized this, and this has led to a bit of a sort of ho-hum build-up. People don't necessarily feel that jazzed about it. So Deontay Wilder has to come up with these sorts of statements to try inject some life into the fight, get people to see it. Because obviously if he's talking about, Breazeale's life being on the line, he's trying to get a body on his record, he is saying, I'm going to try kill this guy. That he wants to kill his opponent. And those are some pretty confronting statements for a lot of fans. And I'll get to some of that side of things in a minute, but he obviously wants to try get people tuning in. It's on Showtime, and Steven Espinoza, the Showtime boss, has said they've been treating this like it is a pay-per-view. And part of that will be because Deontay Wilder didn't take that massive offer from DAZN that was up for grabs, $100 million, etc., and he is staying on Showtime, and his first fight against Breazeale is on regular Showtime. But as part of whatever the sweetener was, Showtime's obviously feels that it has to give this as much attention and coverage as possible. So all the trappings that would normally come with a pay-per-view, it's put on the line for this fight. But it really hasn't made a difference. People don't feel any different about this. People aren't necessarily really hyped up for it. I'm going to watch it and I'll probably enjoy the card, but it's one of these things that, I'm not exactly like, I'm just like, wow, it is what it is sort of thing. And if Breazeale wins, well, that's going to be a pretty decent upset, but most people expect Wilder to come through this. And going into this, Deontay Wilder has to, put bums on seats. He has to get people watching. He will know that, with him turning down these other deals and betting on himself, as he put it, that this has got to do well on regular Showtime. So we shall see how it goes with the figures and people in the venue. But I would note with the tickets, so this is the seating map here. This is just, from the Premier Boxing website. It takes you to the official, ticket seller. So this is all the seats that are available in blue. This does not cover ticket resellers. So there is far more seats that are on sale compared to this. And I'm not sure about these two blocks at either end of the stadium. Maybe they have just been given to the ticket resellers, StubHub or whoever is selling tickets. But you can see it's far from a sellout. Plenty of seats left, plus chuck in there the ticket resellers. And that kind of, it's a bit of a microcosm for this fight. Not a huge amount of interest compared to other fights. And Deontay Wilder, these statements though, are they acceptable? Well, if I was the WBC, I wouldn't be exactly thrilled that he's making these sorts of the comments, because it does sort of cheapen the belt to some extent. The guy is literally talking about killing his opponent, and it's at this point where people will go, oh, but other people have said these things in the past, and Mike Tyson is often referenced. And it might be worth reminding people that actually at the time that Tyson made those comments, they were similarly reviled. Fast forward 30 years since he made those sorts of statements, it's a different time. It's a much more sensitive time, much more politically correct time. These sorts of statements don't do well. You have people jumping on these comments saying this is a bad look for boxing, that Deontay Wilder is actually giving the sport a bit of a black eye. He's openly talking about killing an opponent as opposed to beating an opponent. There's a different sort of, line there that, and many will feel that he has crossed this. And the WBC has indicated before that didn't necessarily like Wilder saying the body on his record comments when he said them the first time. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but also what if he actually followed through on this, and what if he did this? I'm sure Wilder, he would change his tune, but also everyone would be piling in like no tomorrow, including the sanctioning body. And it's these sorts of statements that he makes that, while we know why he's doing it, it's, for headlines to generate publicity. It's part of the reason that people don't like Deontay Wilder. He makes these sorts of comments, and people, casual fans, for example, if they're not fighting fans in general, if you're trying to get new people into the sport and they're on the fence, some of these sorts of comments don't exactly help. For some people it might, but for a lot of people it just turns people straight off. And Deontay Wilder has had a problem in his career with his image, and he often complains about not being supported by American fans and all this sort of stuff, but it's because he's not consistent in what he says. He's all over the map. Literally all over the map. He has these different personas that he puts on. One is the humble guy, one is the sort of preacher, one is the sort of bronze bomber sort of, more brash sort of version of Deontay Wilder, the trash talker. But it's all over the place, and you don't know what you're going to get with this guy, and he does contradict himself. One of the sort of examples of that, in one of the official media statements from his media day, he says, I'm a person who's passionate about what I say and passionate about what I do. I'm the realest champion in the business. I show love everywhere I go. Love is the key to the world. How does that mesh with his statements about wanting to kill Dominic Breazeale? I mean, I can't sort of put those two side by side and go, yeah, they add up. They're sort of in the same breath. I mean, he's not showing love to Breazeale. He's talking about killing the guy. That's not showing love. So Deontay Wilder has got an image problem to some extent. A lot of the things that he says get on people's nerves and really grate on people. And he does sort of, say one thing, do another. I mean, in regards to Anthony Joshua, he made some comments about, don't worry, pussy, I'm coming. You ain't got nowhere to go. Now you want the boogeyman. What about staying in England? Welcome to America, baby. You're going to get what I got for you. You're going to get what's coming. Trust me. And this is coming from Deontay Wilder, who a week ago said he wasn't interested in facing Anthony Joshua anytime soon, that he's got other things lined up. He says one thing, and then the next week it's almost like a different thing. He's basically saying, oh, now you want to fight me. Now you want the boogeyman. even though Deontay Wilder hasn't negotiated in any extent since June last year for a Joshua fight. So, he's all over the map with his statements. He's not consistent. He says all these things. And obviously the stuff with Mike Tyson, saying similar comments 30 years ago. There's a difference here as well between the two, because Mike Tyson was a very popular champion. Deontay Wilder has not scaled those similar sort of heights. Some of the things that Mike Tyson said, fans would sort of forgive him because he was a phenomenon. Deontay Wilder is not. He doesn't have that same sort of gravitas with fans. It's just a fact. And because he's all over the map, trying to be the humble guy, trying to be the preacher, trying to be the trash talker, and he can't say things in a consistent way and not contradict himself from week to week. He doesn't engender himself to fans because there's no consistent persona that people can latch on to. At least Mike Tyson, you knew what you were getting with him. He never left you in any doubt about what he was thinking. And he was consistent. But getting back to a few other comments here. So Deontay Wilder said of Dominic Breazeale, he's going to get knocked out in dramatic fashion on Saturday. I can't wait. He's like a fly in my ear. I'm going to get him out of there in a fashion no one has ever seen. I love coming to Brooklyn. The people here have adopted me. I have some of my most dramatic knockouts here at Barclays Center. I'm looking forward to adding another one to my resume. Saturday night. Dominic Breazeale asked for this. I didn't seek him out. He came for me. This isn't a gentleman's sport. We have bad blood and it'll be in the ring Saturday night. I learned from the Tyson Fury fight to stay patient. It was my moment and my time. I wanted to put on a great show and deliver the knockout. I rushed, but Fury had to be perfect for 12 rounds. I had to be perfect for 2 seconds. And Dominic Breazeale, he's had his media day. And he's made some statements there saying, you're going to see a different Dominic Breazeale for this fight. I'm something that the heavyweight division needs, and you're all going to be surprised on Saturday night. Come Saturday night, it's man versus man. You have to do what you've been saying you're going to do. His talking won't help him then. There's no way this fight goes the distance. I know for sure it's going to be fireworks from the opening bell, and there's going to be a fantastic finish. Losing to Anthony Joshua in 2016 was a huge stepping stone for my career. I learned so much about what I had been doing wrong. I didn't do enough to get the win that night. I analysed punch after punch and learned more from that loss than any win I had. I don't give Deontay much credit for his title defences. People talk about his big right hand, but this is heavyweight boxing. I have a big right hand too. I have put many individuals down on the canvas. All Wilder does is talk. We'll see who lands that right hand first on Saturday. I've been training like a caged dog during camp. It's nice to be here now and see people's reaction to the work I put in. I'm confident in what I can do and what I bring to the table Saturday night. It's going to be fun. Dominic Breazeale statement from his media day. So this is going to be an interesting fight for a number of reasons, but also Wilder is saying a number of things here. There could be a whole pride before the fall situation if Dominic Breazeale can land that right hand as he says. But as I said earlier, many are not expecting him to come through this, and that Wilder will go into this as the favourite and will come out with a knockout victory. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.